The idea of a private-public partnership agreement in undertaking the redevelopment of the HIA International Airport has generated much debate here. The St. Lucia and Seaports Authority, SLASPA, has said pursuing this model for the project will ease financial strain on the government of St. Lucia. Looking at Jamaica, SLASPA says there is evidence that a PPP is the answer. We hear more in this excerpt from a documentary on the process.
Allow me to take you on a virtual visit to the Donald Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, Jamaica, where the airport has been managed and developed through a PPP concession for the past 10 years.
So we reached out to the Jamaican Airport Authority because the reality is the Montego Bay Sangster Airport is in fact currently being operated through a PPP. And from all indications, it has been a success story. So we are not replicating that model, I want to make it clear. But what we sought to do was to engage them to establish what has worked well, what hasn't, what lessons you've learned over a period of time. And we factored all of that feedback into this transaction to ensure that we're all on the right path.
A 30-year lease agreement was awarded to Montego Bay, Jamaica, or MBJ, the group which won the bid to manage and develop the airport under the PPP agreement. Like in St. Lucia, there was trepidation and concern about the airport being privatized and sold to foreign entities. Among the persons we spoke with was Kirk Taylor of Tropical Tours.
I remember that it was really a hullabaloo. People were up in arms about we sell off the country, we're selling this and
Initially, there was some trepidation as to whether or not when these guys come, things were going to change drastically but the fact is, this is their living. And they bought into the idea that, MBJ and the 30-year lease is going to be here to stay. And they would have to be part and parcel of the whole aspect because the taxi is part of the service that MBJ will offer to its guests.
And then when people start to see what was being done, and start to see the growth, and start to see the employment, this is the best thing about to Jamaica,
Mr. Taylor has been employed at the Montego Bay Airport from 1964, which is over 50 years ago.
Not only have I worked here, but I also sat on the board for 15 years. So I kind of have an intimate relationship with the airport.
Mr. Taylor has witnessed the transition of the airports to the Montego Bay PPP, known as MBJ, or Montego Bay, Jamaica. Today, it is an international airport with improved and modernized facilities, including jet bridges. There has also been a dramatic increase in passenger traffic and employment.
Because from employing 800 people to maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people now, it shows you the growth in the whole industry.
As it is today, you can see the plus in terms of what has happened and what has transpired going forward.
So I am very, very happy because the government at the time and even now was not in a position to do all of this. They didn't have the money to do the expansions that was required because the big companies were pushing to have an airport like this. And the government recognized that in order for tourism to grow in Jamaica, we had to have an airport that was world-class, but they never had the money.
The private entity which secured the agreement to manage and develop the Donald Sangster International Airport in Jamaica engaged all stakeholders at the airport as they sought to move ahead with its development. The MBJ presented a detailed plan on how the services offered there would have been improved to international standards. That management group has successfully operated other international airports worldwide.
They had a structured system and they just make sure that they wanted you to comply. So the details that they asked us for was just to make sure that we are a continuing business.
So in terms of security, in terms of being met with an international standard, MBJ do a very, very good job of that, because remember that the company that manages the airport up until recently was Canadian, Vantage, who managed several airports. So they're well aware of the international standards and what they need to do and what it takes to achieve it.
The PPP model at Donald Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, Jamaica, is a significant example of the model SLASPA and the government of St. Lucia are seeking to implement to redevelop the HIA International Airport. Please note, however, that the thrust is not to replicate in its entirety the precise model utilized in Montego Bay. It is to ensure that we consider the unique attributes of St. Lucia's economic, social, political, and environmental significance, which will be factored into the transaction model.
Here are the benefits of that model. You do not increase your debt to GDP ratio. Government has no guarantees. We don't guarantee it. Thirdly, you get a partner who is skilled and knowledgeable in the development of airports and who will assist us. But SLASPA, but the government of St. Lucia, through SLASPA, still maintains regulatory control over the airport. The government still controls the customs, the immigration. That remains in the hands of security, that remains in the hands of the government. So it's a win-win situation where we get our airport built to our specifications, we get our airport run to the highest professional international standards, but we do not have the weight of the debt that comes with it.